This is Chuck Schaefer of HCM TV, and I am joined by Emily Ha, Senior Vice President, and Chris Trotter, Senior Director of SABA. Thank you very much for joining me today.
You're welcome, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Emily, let me direct the first question to you if I could. SABA is a maker of learning management, talent management, web conferencing, and social tools. How do you describe your target market so that an HCM or business leader could self-identify if they should be talking to SABA?
We primarily sell to three target audiences. The first target audience is the learning buyers, so that includes the chief learning officers as well as the head of learning and head of training. And the second bucket of buyers include the buyer for talent management, and that's usually the HR audience. And we also sell to line of business, and the line of business buyers are becoming increasingly important for us as we enter the social space, and we believe the early adopters are going to be the line of business buyers.
Chris, let me direct a question to you to try to better understand the scope of learning management software. We're seeing a number of tie-ins to this industry from sort of these related or ancillary applications such as talent management, performance, or organizational development. How do you describe the scope of learning management, and how is that scope being impacted by these tie-ins?
The scope of learning management's actually changed quite a bit over the years. It used to be that training and learning were very siloed in terms of training and learning organizations looking at compliance and trying to drive better compliance throughout the organization in terms of certifications. What we're finding is that learning is actually trending towards becoming much more unified with HR organizations. So what we're seeing is, I think, 60% or so of learning leaders are actually reporting to the VPs of HR. So there is a lot more synergy going on. And what we feel is that learning is becoming the foundation of any good talent management process. So for example, if you're looking at succession planning or even talent pooling, being able to identify people that may be future leaders in your organization is one part of that equation, but the other part is that you have to be able to provide a very solid leadership development and training program for them. The other piece that we're seeing is a very good tie-in between performance management and learning. So for example, if you're going through a performance review process or even an everyday management process, it's very important for managers to be able to engage with their employees and give them feedback on a constant basis and then provide them with the training and the development opportunities that they have every day.
Emily, let me segue one of Chris's comments on some of the many changes we're seeing in this learning management industry. What are the primary trends that you are seeing that are influencing learning management systems?
That's a great question. I think a lot of the key trends in technology are really driving the innovation in learning, and there are really three things that are going on in technology that are noteworthy. The first one is cloud, second one is mobile, and the third one is social. So in terms of cloud, we're seeing increased adoption of the cloud solutions in the learning application. And related to mobile, we've seen an increased interest in virtual classroom. And we believe we're witnessing the second generation of virtual classroom that has both the mobile capability, but also the true unification with learning application, as well as some of the latest and greatest technology innovation, for example, HD video. The third thing we're seeing is social. So a lot of the learning companies or learning organizations are incorporating social media in their learning applications. Not only do they want the ability to rate courses as well as discuss courses, they want to have a platform where they can implement informal learning. So they want the ability to identify experts who are familiar with the topic. They want to have a platform where they can find all the relevant information and documents that will allow them to learn about a subject. But more importantly, they want the ability to form groups where they can learn and collaborate.
Those are very interesting trends. Let me drill down just a bit further on some of these disruptive technologies. If I look at mobile and social media as examples, you've talked about increased adoption, you've talked about some great capabilities, but what are the benefits organizations are seeing by adopting new learning or new talent management with social and mobile capabilities?
I think some of the benefits that you're seeing with social and mobile capabilities is a lot more collaboration. So from a learning perspective, it used to be that you go take a class, maybe you take a test, you maybe retain 70 or 80% of that knowledge. I think when you combine social with learning, what you see is that there is sort of continuous learning that happens afterwards. So it's sort of a combination of formal and informal learning. So not only are you learning from the instructors and the subject matter experts, but you're also learning from your peers who are also taking the class, sharing ideas, being able to collaborate, and maybe come up with new ideas even from that class. So I think there's plenty of benefits in terms of being able to combine social and mobile and with formal learning technologies to be able to increase the retention of learning over time, and then also be able to drive better engagement with your employees.
And to just build on Chris's point, I think the benefit is really designing a application that people actually want to use. So it's about elevated people experience and better people engagement.
Learning management is a fairly mature industry, but we see different adoption rates by organizations of different industries and different sizes and the like. Where do you think we are in terms of crossing a chasm to mainstream adoption of learning management systems?
Sure. Actually, it's interesting because there's been a lot of research that's been put out over the past year and a half, where there's a very high, actually, percentage of organizations that have learning management solutions, but those same organizations are actually very dissatisfied with their learning management solutions. And I think what we're seeing is that there was sort of this first generation of learning management solutions that was a little bit more legacy driven, maybe not as usable as they would have liked, maybe not as flexible in terms of integrating with other solutions. And so I think what we're seeing is that that learning is a fairly mature market, but I also see that there's another generation of learning that's coming along in terms of organizations looking for different types of unification. So not only the learning management solution, but the unified virtual learning and the virtual classroom piece, as Emily mentioned before, as well as some of the social and mobile capabilities. And so I think organizations are sort of rethinking their learning strategy, trying to find better ways to engage their employees, like Emily was alluding to, as well as driving better business results and getting learning more closely aligned with their business strategy.
Yeah, I also think there are sort of as Chris alluded to, there are different cycles of learning implementation. The learning application could start with one division, and there could be multiple learning applications within one company. So some companies, although they have learning application, they want to standardize on one learning platform. We're also seeing different stages of adoption in the different geographies. So for example, in Asia Pacific, in China in particular, learning is really hot right now, and talent management is really hot as multinational companies try to expand into China and Chinese companies try to expand overseas to capture the international growth. And we're seeing a lot of interest in learning and a lot of interest in talent management.
What advice would you offer for the HCM or business leader that's about to evaluate learning management systems?
Well, I think not only with learning management systems, but also with talent management systems, one of the most important things that leaders can look at is what are their business needs, and being able to really understand what's going to drive success for that particular implementation and what's going to drive success for the organization. Talent management is a very large sort of topic to cover, right? Could be anything from performance reviews to succession planning to learning to any of those areas. And you really have to understand which parts are going to have the most impact for your business and then being able to align to your business strategy.
Yeah, in addition, I think you need to take a pragmatic approach. So it really depends on where the company is from a system perspective, and perhaps the company has standardized on some ERP solution, and you already have a lot of the people profile information residing in your ERP systems, and in that case, you want to buy an application that will allow you to unify your people profile and unlock your people data out of the ERP system. Once you've done that, the next step is really to optimize or modernize your people processes, and you want to evaluate applications that will give you the ability to really optimize and modernize the people processes. And once you've done that, the third step is to elevate the people experience and improve people engagement. And this is where you want to incorporate some of the social technology and mobile technology to really improve the engagement from your people.
With that advice, I think we're at a good break point to conclude our conversation. This is Chuck Schaefer, and I've been joined by Emily Ha, Senior Vice President, and Chris Trotter, Senior Director of SABA. Emily, Chris, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.